The elders of Oduka village always said the forest listens. They said the trees remember names and the ground keeps secrets. Children were warned not to play near the old forest path where the stone of Iru rested. It was not big. It was not shiny. It was just a round stone shrine covered with red clay and white marks. But everyone knew it was older than the village itself. Solah grew up hearing these warnings. His father told him the shrine protected Oduka from sudden death. His mother said it was the reason children slept and woke up alive. No one touched it. No one questioned it. But times were hard. Crops failed. Hunger walked openly in the village. And when hunger talks, people stop listening to wisdom. One night, 3 men met under a mango tree. Bako the hunter, Sani the trader, and Udo the farmer whispered like thieves. Sani spoke of a rumor. He said his grandfather once said gold was buried under the stone of Iru. Gold meant food. Gold meant power. Gold meant escape from poverty. Bako laughed and said stones cannot protect people. Udo shook with fear, but fear did not stop him. Greed was louder. They planned to go at night, when the forest would be quiet and the elders asleep. They did not know the forest was never asleep. If you're watching this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're watching my folktale story from. I want to know how far it has traveled. The moon hid behind clouds the night they went to the forest. Even the crickets were quiet. Bako carried an iron digger. Sani carried a sack. Udo carried fear in his chest. Each step felt heavy, like the ground was pulling them back. When they reached the stone of Iru, Udo stopped. His legs refused to move. He remembered the elders' words. He remembered stories of people who disappeared. But Bako pushed him forward. Sani laughed and said old men only tell stories to control fools. Bako struck the shrine with iron. The sound cracked the air. A strange wind rushed through the trees. The white markings on the stone broke like dry skin. When the shrine fell, the ground shook softly, like a deep breath. They dug. Sweat covered their bodies. Finally, Bako's digger hit something hard. A clay pot. Inside were old gold pieces, dull but heavy. Sani screamed with joy. Udo cried, not knowing why. They shared the gold quickly and covered the hole badly. They left the broken shrine lying like a dead body. As they walked away, none of them noticed the forest path changing behind them. The next morning, a child screamed. A goat was found dead with no wounds. The river turned dark for 1 hour, then cleared again. The elders felt a cold fear they had not felt in years. Solah watched the elders gather. He saw their shaking hands. He heard one whisper, "The stone of Iru has been touched." That was the day the deaths began. The first death came quietly. It was Udo's youngest son. The boy slept at night and never woke up. No sickness. No cry, just gone. Udo wailed until his voice broke. The elders came and saw the signs. They touched the ground and felt it trembling. The next death came with noise. Bako's hunting partner fell from a tree while resting. His neck snapped like dry wood. People said it was an accident, but fear grew. Sani began to dream strange dreams. He saw water filling his house. He saw the broken shrine bleeding red earth. He woke up screaming every night. His wife said he talked in his sleep, saying sorry to someone who never answered. Solah noticed something else. The 3 men who became rich suddenly were the same ones trouble followed. New goats died. New houses cracked. Their gold brought no peace. The elders called a meeting. They said the ancestors were angry. They said a sacred thing was destroyed. They asked the guilty ones to speak. No one did. Silence filled the square like smoke. That night, Udo heard knocking under his bed. He checked and saw nothing. When he lay down again, the knocking continued, slower and closer, like a heartbeat. By morning, Udo was mad. He ran through the village, screaming that the ground was calling his name. He fell near the forest path and never stood again. Now everyone was afraid. Solah looked at the forest. He felt the truth was buried there, waiting to rise. Fear changed Oduka. People locked doors early. Mothers pulled children close. The elders poured libation, but the air stayed heavy. No bird sang near the forest anymore. Sani tried to escape. He packed his gold and planned to leave before sunrise. But as he stepped onto the path, he felt his feet sink into the ground. Not mud, not water. The earth held him like hands. He screamed for help, but no one came. By morning, only his gold sack remained. Bako laughed at Sani's disappearance, but his laughter sounded empty. That same day, his shadow began to move when he did not. Children ran from him. Dogs growled at him. Solah finally spoke to the oldest elder, Mama Essie. She looked into his eyes and nodded. She said the stone of Eru demands truth. She said only the one who saw clearly could return what was broken. Solah followed Bako one night. He watched him talk to himself near his house. Bako cried and begged the dark. He admitted everything. He spoke the names. He spoke the gold. The wind rose suddenly. A deep voice came from the forest. It said nothing, but the ground shook. Bako fell to his knees. Solah knew then. Silence was killing the village. Truth was the only cure. He turned toward the forest, ready to face whatever waited there. Solah went to the forest before sunrise. He carried no weapon, only a calabash of water and courage in his heart. The path felt alive under his feet. When he reached the broken shrine, he fell to his knees. He spoke loudly so the trees could hear. He named the guilty. He told the truth exactly as it happened. He poured water on the broken stone and begged for mercy for the innocent. The forest answered. The wind circled him. The ground opened slightly, not to swallow him, but to listen. A deep calm followed. That same morning, Bako was found dead beside his gold. His eyes were open, staring at nothing. No wound touched him. The elders understood. Justice had begun. The death stopped after that day. Slowly, peace returned. The elders rebuilt the shrine, not with gold, but with respect. The forest became quiet again. Solah never took gold. He became a guardian of stories. He taught children to listen. Because some things protect life, and once broken, only truth can mend them. After the death stopped, Oduka did not return to normal quickly. Fear does not leave like rain. It stays like damp ground. People still whispered when they passed the forest. Children still ran when the wind moved suddenly. The elders rebuilt the stone of Eru where it had fallen. They used clay, chalk, and clean water. No one brought gold near it. Mama Essie said gold was the reason the shrine was broken, so gold must never touch it again. Solah helped every day. He carried water. He cleared the path. At night, he dreamed of the forest watching him, not with anger, but with quiet eyes. One evening, a stranger arrived in the village. He was thin, with dusty feet and tired eyes. He said his name was Della. He said he was passing through. Mama Essie stiffened when she saw him. She asked where he came from. Della pointed toward the hills beyond the forest. That night, the goats cried loudly. A pod cracked on its own. The rebuilt shrine showed a long dark line, like a wound opening again. Mama Essie called Solah. She said the shrine was restless. She said someone who knew the truth was still hiding it. Solah thought of the gold. He thought of the rumors. Della smiled too much. His eyes never rested. Solah began to suspect the deaths were not truly finished. Solah followed Della the next morning. The men walked toward the forest, pretending to collect firewood. He stopped often and looked behind him. Solah stayed far back, quiet like a shadow. Deep inside the forest, Della knelt near a tree and dug. He pulled out a small gold piece wrapped in cloth. Solah's heart dropped. Some of the gold was still hidden. Before Solah could speak, the ground shook. The trees bent inward. Della screamed and tried to run, but his legs tangled. Roots wrapped around his ankles like ropes. Solah stepped forward and shouted for mercy. He said the village had suffered enough. The shaking slowed. The roots loosened, but did not release Della. Della cried and confessed. He was Sani's brother. Sani had hidden some gold before leaving. Della came to take it quietly and leave Oduka forever. Mama Essie arrived with the elders. She listened and nodded slowly. She said the shrine had accepted truth once, but greed kept calling the curse back. They took the gold from Della and returned it to the shrine. The ground closed gently. Della collapsed, breathing hard. The elders sent him away with nothing. That night, the forest slept again. But Solah knew something important now. The shrine was not only about punishment. It was about balance. Days passed without death, but strange signs continued. Water sometimes boiled without fire. Shadows moved late. Mama Essie said the shrine was testing the village. Respect must last, not fade. Kola became restless. He felt pulled toward the forest often. One afternoon, he heard a voice call his name near the shrine. Not loud, not soft, steady, he went alone. The air felt heavy but calm. He knelt and waited. In his heart, he asked what the shrine wanted. That night, Mama Essie dreamed. She saw the stone of Eru cracked again, not from iron, but from neglect. In the dream, children laughed while elders slept. She called the village together. She said the shrine needed a guardian. Not a priest, not a chief. Someone poor, honest, and awake. All eyes turned to Kola. Kola tried to refuse. He said he was just a tapper. Mama Essie shook her head. She said guardians are chosen by listening, not by wealth. The elders agreed. Kola was given no crown, no payment, only duty. He would clean the path, tell the stories, and warn the careless. That night, Kola slept near the shrine for the first time. He dreamed of roots growing strong and deep. He woke with peace in his chest. Oduka felt lighter. But far away, someone else heard the stories. And greed began to walk toward Oduka again. The new visitor came with traders. His name was Liko. He wore fine cloth and smiled easily. He listened more than he spoke. He asked many questions about the forest. Kola watched him closely. Liko laughed when people spoke of curses. He said fear keeps villages poor. He said gold brings progress. At night, Liko met secretly with young men. He told them stories of cities and riches. He said the shrine was just a stone. He said old beliefs were chains. One boy listened to well. His name was Taro. He was tired of farming. He wanted quick change. Kola warned them. He told them what happened before. Liko smiled and said death comes from sickness, not stones. That same week, Taro stole a chalk marking from the shrine. Nothing happened that day. He left and showed his friends. The next morning, Taro could not speak. His mouth opened but no sound came out. He ran to Kola with fear in his eyes. Kola returned the chalk to the shrine and prayed. By sunset, Taro spoke again. He cried and begged forgiveness. Liko watched from afar, angry. That night, Kola heard footsteps near the forest path. He stood and waited. He knew the cycle was trying to begin again. And this time, the test would not be gentle. Liko did not give up. He planned quietly. He believed fear could be broken by force. One night, he followed Kola and watched where he slept. Before dawn, Liko returned with fire. He burned the path leading to the shrine. Smoke rose into the sky. People ran out screaming. Kola stood before the shrine as flames moved closer. He did not run. He poured water and spoke the old words Mama Essie taught him. The fire bent away from the stone like it hit a wall. The wind changed direction suddenly. Flames turned and surrounded Liko instead. He dropped the torch and screamed. The ground trembled. A deep sound rose, not loud, but final. Liko fell and did not rise. Rain came after, soft and steady. The fire died. The forest breathed. The elders came and bowed their heads. Mama Essie said the shrine had spoken clearly now. No more warnings. Kola felt tired but calm. He knew his role was not to fight people, but to stand firm. From that day, Oduka placed teaching above fear. Children learned the story early. And the stone of Eru stood quietly again, not angry, not loud, just watching. After Liko's death, silence returned to Oduka, but it was a careful silence. People moved gently, like guests in their own land. The elders warned that peace must be guarded every day, not only when danger appears. Kola continued his duty. He cleaned the forest path each morning. He told the children stories each evening. He did not add fear. He added truth. He said the shrine was not evil. It only answered what people brought to it. Mama Essie grew weaker with age. One night, she called Kola to her mat. She said her time was near. She said the shrine would soon need more than one guardian. That same week, a strange sickness came. It did not kill, but it drained strength. People felt heavy. Food had no taste. Even the river flowed slowly. Kola returned to the shrine and asked what was wrong. That night, he dreamed of cracked earth and empty promises. He woke knowing the village itself was forgetting gratitude. The elders gathered. They confessed small wrongs, lies, broken promises, stolen yams, pride. As each truth was spoken, the air felt lighter. By morning, the sickness faded. Mama Essie smiled and closed her eyes forever. They buried her near the forest path. Kola felt alone, but the wind felt close. The shrine did not need noise. It needed memory. With Mama Essie gone, responsibility grew heavier on Kola's shoulders. Some villagers began to test him. They whispered that he had power. They asked for favors. He refused. One man accused Kola of controlling the shrine for himself. Another said Kola brought the deaths. Doubt crept into Oduka like ants. That night, the shrine grew cold. The white marks faded slightly. Kola felt fear for the first time. He gathered the elders and spoke clearly. He said the shrine did not belong to him. He said it belonged to the village. He asked for shared guardians. 3 were chosen, young, honest, patient. Together, they cleaned, watched, and taught. The next morning, the marks returned bright. The ground felt warm again. Far away, traders spoke of Oduka. They said it was cursed. Others said it was protected. More ears listened. A chief from a nearby land sent messengers. He wanted the forest cleared for farming. He said old shrines slow progress. Kola met the messengers. He spoke with respect. He said some land must rest so people may live. The messengers left, unsure. That night, Kola dreamed of fire and water standing apart, not fighting. He woke knowing choice still lived. The neighboring chief arrived himself weeks later. He was proud and loud. He did not bow to the elders. He laughed at the shrine. He ordered trees marked for cutting. The forest grew restless. Birds fled. Kola stood before the chief. He told the full story. The chief listened but smiled. He said stories do not feed people. That night, the chief's strongest men vanished. By morning, he returned shaking, saying the forest had spoken his name. The chief felt fear but hid it. He ordered 1 more tree cut near the shrine. Before the axe fell, the ground split lightly. Water rose and soaked the earth. The tree could not fall. The chief stepped back. He finally bowed. He ordered his men to leave. He gave land far from the shrine instead. Oduka breathed again. Kola learned something important. Respect does not always need death. Sometimes warning is enough. The shrine rested, but Kola felt his strength fading. Guardianship takes more than time. It takes life. He began training the young ones more deeply, teaching them patience, teaching them silence. Because one day, the forest would call someone else. Years passed gently. Oduka grew wiser. Children corrected elders when they forgot respect. The shrine stood clean and whole. Kola's hair turned gray. His steps slowed. He smiled more than he spoke. One evening, he felt the forest calling again. He went alone. He sat by the shrine and spoke softly. He thanked it for its protection. The ground warmed. The wind moved kindly. That night, Kola did not return home. At dawn, the villagers found him resting beside the shrine, eyes closed, face calm. He had joined the ancestors. The elders wept, but the forest was peaceful. No sign of anger, only quiet respect. The young guardians stepped forward. They knew what to do. They continued the duty without fear. That season, crops grew well. Children were born healthy. The river stayed clear. Stories of Oduka spread far, not as a cursed land, but as a careful one. The stone of Iru stood unchanged, not because it was feared, but because it was remembered. Years later, a child asked why the shrine mattered. An elder smiled and told the full story. Of greed, of truth, of listening. The child nodded and placed a small stone beside the shrine, not as worship, but as respect. The forest stirred softly, and the lesson lived on. After Kola's passing, the village moved forward, but his absence was felt like a missing drumbeat. The young guardians worked hard, yet they lacked his calm patience. Sometimes they argued. Sometimes they acted too fast. One season, the rains delayed. The ground cracked. Crops bent low and dry. People grew afraid again. Some whispered that Kola's spirit was angry. Others said the shrine needed something more. The guardians went to the stone of Iru and waited. They did not speak. They remembered Kola's lessons about silence. After a long time, The wind moved gently. The youngest guardian felt it clearly. The shrine did not want fear. It wanted responsibility. The elders called the village together. They shared food equally, even when it was small. They stopped secret hoarding. They helped the weakest first. 2 days later, rain fell softly. Not heavy, but steady, enough. People understood. The shrine did not control weather. It reflected the heart of the village. From that time, Oduka began meeting every moon cycle. Not to ask for things, but to correct themselves. The forest stayed quiet. Far away, stories of Oduka reached another place. A young woman named Solah heard them. She had lost her family to greed and war. She wanted a place where respect ruled. She began her journey toward Oduka, carrying nothing but hope. And once again, the forest listened. Solah arrived at Oduka tired and thin. She bowed deeply to the elders. She said she wanted to learn, not to take. The guardians watched her closely. Outsiders were always tested, even kind ones. Solah helped quietly. She fetched water. She cooked. She listened to stories without interrupting. She never asked about the shrine. One night, she dreamed of roots holding hands underground. She woke crying, not from fear, but from peace. The elders saw her patience. They allowed her to walk the forest path with a guardian. She showed no greed, no mockery, only respect. Soon, children followed her. She taught them songs about balance and care. The shrine's markings brightened slightly. The guardians felt it. Then trouble came again, small but sharp. A traitor accused Solah of hiding power. He said outsiders always bring change. The village murmured. That night, the traitor's scales broke. His goods spoiled. Nothing else happened. No death. Only warning. The traitor apologized and left. The elders understood. The shrine was teaching gently now. Solah stayed. Oduka grew stronger not by fear, but by wisdom. And the forest approved. Years passed. Solah grew older. The guardians became elders. The stone of Iru stood unchanged. One dry season, children from another land ran into Oduka screaming. Their village had burned. Their shrine was sold for metal. Death followed. Oduka welcomed them, fed them, taught them. The elders sent messengers to warn other villages. Some listened. Some laughed. Soon, travelers spoke of sickness and madness elsewhere. Oduka remained safe. Solah told the children stories of Kola. She said guardianship was not about stones, but choices. One child asked if the shrine could be moved. Solah shook her head. She said roots grow where they are planted. That night, the wind sang softly. The stone of Iru remained still, not because it was powerful alone, but because the people had learned. Oduka was no longer protected by fear of death. It was protected by memory. And memory is stronger than gold. A great flood came years later. Water rose fast. Houses shook. People ran uphill. The shrine stood firm. Water flowed around it, not over it. No life was lost. After the flood, the elders rebuilt calmly. They shared space. They shared food. Solah smiled and said the ancestors were pleased. Children grew into adults, knowing the story by heart. No one tried to test it again. The forest remained quiet. The lesson had settled deeply. Old age came to Solah gently. She sat often by the shrine, humming softly. One evening, she told the young ones her last words. She said protection does not come from fear, but from respect. That night, she slept and did not wake. The shrine stood silent. The forest listened. Oduka continued. After Solah joined the ancestors, Oduka felt quiet, but not empty. The young ones she taught now carried her words. They did not argue about who was strongest. They asked who was most careful. The shrine stayed calm for many years. No sickness. No strange signs. Some people began to forget why rules mattered. Peace made them comfortable. A group of youths started meeting at night. They said the old stories were only useful during hard times. They wanted more land, more farms, more money. One night, they moved a boundary stone near the forest. Not the shrine itself, but close enough. The next day, tools broke. Crops bent strangely. Nothing terrible, but enough to confuse. The elders called the youths. They did not shout. They asked one question. Why now? The youths had no answer. They realized comfort had made them careless. They returned the boundary stone. They apologized publicly. The signs stopped. Oduka remembered again. The shrine did not punish quickly. It waited. That was its greatest lesson. As seasons passed, travelers often stopped in Oduka. They asked why the village was different. Why people share easily. Why elders listen to children. The answer was always the same. We learned the hard way. The stone of Iru became a place of teaching, not fear. No one prayed for riches there. People only went to remember. One traveler laughed and said remembrance does not fill the stomach. That night, his cart broke. He stayed longer than planned. He watched how Oduka lived. He left quietly, changed. The forest stayed still. Children painted small stones and placed them near the shrine as promises. Not vows, just reminders. Oduka was no longer special because of magic. It was special because people chose to protect what protected them. And choice is powerful. One final test came without warning. A distant ruler sent soldiers, claiming the forest land. Oduka did not fight. They did not hide. They spoke together. They told the full story. They showed the graves. They showed the rebuilt shrine. The soldiers laughed at first, but their leader felt uneasy. He ordered no harm. That night, the soldiers dreamed the same dream. Roots held their feet, not tight, just firm. By morning, they left. The forest breath. Oduka remained. Time moved on. Names changed. Faces changed. But the story stayed. Children learned it before numbers. Before trade. The stone of Iru cracked slowly with age, not harm. The elders repaired it gently. Nothing more was demanded. The shrine had done its work. Today, the forest still stands. The stone still rests. People still tell the story of greed, truth, and listening. Because some things are not meant to be owned. They are meant to be remembered.